Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to the extra time show for Norwich City 0, Everton 1. Everton get their first win of the resumed Premier League campaign and make it 4 points out of 6 in the first 2 games. So it's not a bad start, is it? I mean, it wasn't the best performance, but we'll get on to that. We'll dissect the game bit by bit, and it's not always going to be pretty, I don't think. Terry, what did you make of the performance?
It was a game of two halves, really, wasn't it? It wasn't the best game overall anyway, but Everton was certainly, much improved in the second half than they were in the first. In the first, I think people, feared, the worst because just looked lethargic, looked sluggish, looked slow to everything. Players weren't having good games. Then in the second half, Ancelotti made a crucial change. Obviously he took Tom Davies off, who I'm sure we'll touch on, but it was more the...
Hang on. Is Terry about to praise Gylfi Sigurdsson?
Maybe. Possibly now. It was more the change of sort of methodology, I suppose, where it freed up some of the players in different positions with the change of personnel. And then obviously we started to control the game a lot more in the second half. We still weren't great at, game management towards the end, but 3 points is 3 points, isn't it? Let's be honest.
I think that when this Premier League was resumed, the only thing I was bothered about really was let's do something so we're not in the bottom half, because I think it's a disgrace for us to be in the bottom half, given the ambitions of the club.
I was worried, genuinely worried, given our away form before the restart, what we've been like. Even with Ancelotti coming in, I didn't think, I was worried that we might do a Schalke, where we would just come back and we're just terrible because we need our supporters. And I'm not saying, that's it, now we're brilliant and we won't lose any games. But the fact that we've got 4 points from the first 2, regardless of how we've got them, is sort
of already better than what Schalke have done, I think. So
yeah, it's eased me worries a little bit that we're not going to be this disaster for the rest of this season without supporters. This game obviously wasn't our best. I think you could see the 2 days less preparation that we had was in a lot of the players. So if they were having bad games, it was exacerbated by that anyway. But now we've got a week, basically, to prepare for the next game. And there'll be other games where we're tired from the previous game and we haven't had much rest, but it's just how you manage that. And it's what big clubs do, and we need to get used to managing things like that, these repetitive games they're playing every 3 days.
Certainly. And, of course, we'll touch on a few of the individual performances. Owen, what did you make of the sort of individual displays who sort of stood out for you?
In a positive light, Iwobi and Michael Keane. I thought Iwobi in particular was really, really good. He didn't have the best first half, but it was more to do with the whole, like what Terry said at half time, the sort of methodology changed. And in the first half, he was sort of sticking to that role in a way he was in Derby, where he'd become like a wing back and just look to break on them. Whereas in the second half, I think Ancelotti's told him to tuck in a bit more, play a bit further up and cause Norwich some issues. Defensively, still with Iwobi pressing up, we were fine. It was more to do with the fact that we needed to get someone up the pitch to get the foot on the ball. In a negative sense, them two in midfield are horrific. I don't know how many times I've got to say it, but the pair of them, they don't know what they're doing in there. They lose the ball. They make stupid decisions. There's always a run on with the front two, and they make a short pass. I'm sick and tired of the pair of them, to be honest.
I know. I understand that you're not a fan of either of those individuals. I know who you're referring to is Tom Davies and Andre Gomez. Yeah, and I know.
They were terrific.
And I know there's a lot of defensive Andre Gomez. I know he has come back from a long injury, but he was pretty poor. I thought he did improve in the second half, but after go ahead. Sorry.
There wasn't much to improve on, to be fair. He didn't have to do much to improve in the second half. He was that bad in the first half. If he got took off instead of Davies, no one could have complained, but they were both equally as terrible.
Yeah, they were both atrocious. But let's talk about Tom Davies, because he played very well in the derby and then comes into this. And like I say, there wasn't a lot of rest and recovery time, but my God, he looked like a liability, didn't he, in that first half?
He was woeful.
The air kick from the keeper's punch is the highlight of it for me.
Yeah, it wasn't just the sort of that he couldn't get into the game kind of bad performance. He was just making terrible decisions on the ball. Instead, I don't know how many times he just did something stupid in his own half when the
Yeah,
ball
he
was.
lost the ball on the halfway line a good few times, didn't he? And every time that Onel Hernandez was breaking away with it and causing us problems down our right.
It was as bad as his performance away at Chelsea a couple of months ago. Two really horrific performances. If he plays a simple game, he's probably fine in there. It's just he tries to overcomplicate everything. Things that are just much beyond what he's good at. He's not a very good player, so stick to what you're good at.
And dare I say, when Gylfi Sigurdsson comes on, we looked a lot more composed on the ball. And Teddy's not going to like this, I don't think. I thought Sigurdsson was pretty good yesterday.
It suits him. It's the experience. Just keep it slow. Nothing cheap in that.
Well, he's not exactly fast, so we haven't got much of a choice there, have we?
He's not much better, but neither is Bernard, by the way, on the left. But it is what it is.
Yeah, it wasn't a great showing from Bernard either. He didn't really get into the game, did he? I think when you talk about him not getting into the game performance, that was definitely something Bernard was guilty of.
It's tough coming back 2 games in 3 days, especially when the weather turns like this. Just getting 4 points, I'll take it, but that midfield needs some serious questions.
Yeah, there's a lot to be done with the midfield, that's for sure. I thought, on a more positive note, though, I thought the defence was pretty solid. Like, they did trouble us a few times in the first half, and we didn't wilt. I thought the centre-backs in particular were good. Michael Keane, of course, got a goal, and Mason Holgate as well looked really comfortable on the ball and continues to grow as a player.
Mason Holgate, amazing now, isn't he? Like, he's such a different player to what we saw before this season. I was worried that when he came back, maybe it might seem that it was maybe a bit of a purple patch or so. I was, to be honest, that's the pessimism of every Evertonian to think that we're gonna come back and Calvert-Lewin can't score anymore, or Holgate suddenly can't defend. But he's been great since he came back. I mean, the whole back four has, but Holgate, I know he didn't. I think he was only edged out from out of the match because Keane got the goal because they were all great. But Holgate these past 2 games has been fantastic.
Absolutely, and I think you spoke about Calvert-Lewin there as well. I thought he done really well yesterday. I thought, considering the 4 midfielders and Richarlison, I thought were all a bit off colour. I thought Calvert-Lewin did really well when he was pretty much carrying everything up front. He was holding the ball up well, and I mean, not much of it came of anything because of the other players underperforming, but I thought he led the line well.
Yeah,
I mean, go ahead.
I would not say he worked very hard, but he always works hard. It's tough when there's not many players getting in and around him, because that's when he's at his best, when he can flick stuff on or find some space for himself. It wasn't that available yesterday, but I thought he did very well in terms of leading the line in there.
Yeah, he certainly did. And Richarlison as well, I thought he was a little bit off the pace yesterday. He didn't see much when he came off for Moise Keane. And about Moise Keane, how many people had the heart in their mouths when he tried to take on that Norwich player in our own box?
Oh, mate, he was in the corner of his own box with 3 Norwich players ahead of him, and instead of just shooing it up the line, he tried to take them on and loses it. And he wasn't great. He wasn't great. That was the standout moment, but he wasn't great either. I'm a big defender of Moise Keane, and I still think it's very early days. I think Calvert-Lewin there is a perfect example. You can't just write off a player because he doesn't look right at first, but then on the other hand, you can't just write off every bad thing he does, because that doesn't help either. But he was terrible. He
was booked 20 seconds into his cameo appearance because he snapped someone.
Yeah, he tried to do a back heel and never come off, and then he's trying to get the ball back. It's booked within seconds, and I don't know. He looked knackered the second he came up.
I think we've seen this with him before, when he got hooked against Man United. And obviously that was quite controversial, but he was blown out of his arse when he did that when he got hooked when he came on and then got hooked by Duncan Ferguson. He was looking quite unfit then, and I know everybody's a bit unfit, but is there a bit of a deeper fitness problem with Moise Kean? Owen?
I mean,
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
I mean, sorry, I don't know. Like, I think it may be, obviously he hasn't looked fit in the past, as you say, but fitness-wise, I'm not going to judge any player with these restarted games, because it's like playing a Premier League game as soon as, you come back off holiday in the summer. Like, there's no pre-season. So, all right, when you say, well, Moise Kean looks tight, looks knackered whenever, even when he is in the middle of a season, but you just don't know what the different, fitness levels are of players. I'm not going to slate him for looking unfit. I'm going to slate him for the stupid decisions he made.
It was very much a decision-making issue on a number of occasions. In that, he was only on for about 20 minutes, wasn't he? But he certainly made a couple of bad decisions. I think the one on the edge of his own box stands out. But I remember one where he could have made a run for Calvert-Lewin through the middle, and he ran wide, and Calvert-Lewin had to shoot in the end, and it kind of petered out. And I think that's the thing we need to get. I think Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison on a good day always seem to be on the same page, and Moise Kean needs to start doing that if he wants to break into the first team on a more regular basis.
Moise Kean needs to, I know, as I say, it is early days now, but he needs to be grasping these opportunities. Like, all right, he's coming on for 20 minutes. Is that a big opportunity? But when Richarlison's not having a good game and he comes off, that's how you're going to get in the team. If you can perform when the other players are having rare off days, if Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison are our two most consistent best players, if you come on for one of them with not like the other day where it was 30 seconds and you're off, but if you come on and get like a crack, you don't have to score, but you need to be doing better than he did, because you're never going to get in the team if you come on and you're no better than a player who's off form himself.
That's a really good point, actually, what you've just made there, because that's what he's got to do to knock one of those players out. You've got to actually be showing an improvement, which a substitution's supposed to bring that anyway. When you take somebody off, you're hoping somebody else can come on and make an improvement to the way things are going. And if he isn't doing that, then he's never going to seize like that. He's never going to stake a claim for the first team place, is he?
No, and another thing I really had an issue was the same with Tom Davies. Like what Terry said, it wasn't. We can have a go at players for not being fit, but it's longer than a normal season break from May to August, plus not having a pre-season. So I can't really judge that, but it was the decision making. It was that 20 minutes felt like 2 hours just watching him play. It was so tough because, again, just do the simple things well. If you're not up to speed, just get the ball out your feet. Just do the simple things well. Just don't overcomplicate.
That's become quite a cliche, I think, with commentators, hasn't it, since this season's resumed and during this period where everyone looks a bit off the pace fitness-wise. They've all been saying that don't take too many risks, and clearly Moise Kean didn't get the memo.
No, he didn't. I really don't know what to think of him anymore, because I look at him and I just don't think he's up to the speed of the team or anything. He's had Carlo since December now, and he still doesn't look up to speed. Plus the stuff that was happening in lockdown, which I don't think you can really judge, just doesn't seem to. His detractors will look at that and say, "I told you so." It's tough for him.
There's a lot of sticks to beat him with, isn't there?
Yeah, it's tough for him.
But
yes, it should have been tailor-made for him, really, because Norwich against Southampton, they did exactly what they did against us. They had like a decent half hour in a spell of the game, and then started to really blow out their asses seconds, in the second half. And that's, other than the odd chance when they brought their better players on, which God knows why they were resting them, by the way, for the FA Cup. But when they brought their better players on, they got started to get a couple more chances. But the team as a whole were absolutely knackered towards the end of the game, Norwich. And that's where Moise Kean should have been. He should have been
chomping
like
at the
rubbing
bit, shouldn't he?
together. Yeah, going, I'm going to come on and I'm fast and I'm going to like, if he makes that run for Calvert-Lewin, he might get a goal. You know what I mean? It's just, he just was badly off it. But a lot of players were badly off it, and it's not just him. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's okay for him, but I'm glad we won, because there'd be a different show if we'd have not won yesterday when it was on a plate for us. 3 points is 3 points.
You'd have never heard the end of it, would you? And I mean,
Do you know what I think's done well since the restart, by the way, just bringing up Jordan Pickford? I think he's looked a lot more calm and composed than he did beforehand.
Yeah, that's been really good to see, actually. There hasn't been as much of the pulling stupid faces and stuff after he makes a save, which is, that's the kind of maturity you want to see. You want to see him becoming more mature. And as a goalkeeper, you do need to lead by example sometimes, and it helps organise your defence. And maybe that's testament to like his performances, why we've kept 2 clean sheets on the bounce.
Yeah, he's done, especially when you look at Dean Henderson's and Nick Pope's performances over the last couple of days. He's really done much better than them. It's like turning it around a bit, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of clamour for him to be axed from England's number 1, but we'll just see how he gets on. I think it's a good start to the resumption of the Premier League for Pickford and for most of Everton, to be honest. I think most of the players have acquitted themselves pretty well given the circumstances. Just one more thing before we finish, though. I think the one thing that concerned me, and it's strange because we haven't seen too much of it under Ancelotti, apart from maybe that the less we say about that, the better, that Newcastle game, was the game management at the end. I thought some of the decisions were a bit bizarre. I remember Luca Dean picking the ball up on the left, and I think Calvert-Lewin was making a run towards the corner flag, and he pings it into Moise Keane, and we lose the ball. And I'm just thinking, this was like with a minute and a half of added time left. I'm just thinking, just get in the corner and get the win. It was those kinds of decisions. I remember it was Lucas Dean who was messing around by our own corner flag, which led to the corner, which led to Newcastle's first goal, which led to Newcastle's second goal. And I'm just thinking, just be a bit more professional about it. Just see the game out and get the job done. I'm sure Carlo Ancelotti will be telling players that with the nous that he has and the experience that he's had over the years. But I don't know, that maybe being a bit harsh, but I just think it's a bit of a pet peeve for me when you're only a goal to the good and the other team is trying to put pressure on you and there's a minute to go and you've got a chance to put it in the corner flag, see the game out comfortably, and then instead you give the ball away and make fans like me bite my nails for another minute. So it's a bit harsh maybe, but it's just something that peeved me a little bit, especially from the days of Martinez.
I understand what you're saying because that did annoy me. It goes back to what I was on about before with Moise Keane, and before that Davis and Luke Dean.
It's game management, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just decision making. It's any normal average Sunday League footballer would have just hoofed it to the corner and kept it there. But I don't know why we think we're better than that at times. But I think it's important to be positive though, because there is 4 points in 2 games after not playing for 3 months, and especially people don't really talk about it, but when the weather turns like this, it can be difficult, but it shouldn't take away from basic decision making.
It's a good way of summing it up, to be honest, because I think you can't really point the finger at fitness, but sometimes it's the brain, and you've just got to see who's got the intelligence to make the right decisions. And I think we're starting to become more aware of who's got a better football brain in this side than some others maybe.
Hopefully it comes with time. Like, it has improved a little bit since the Silver days when it was awful. We regularly lose games in the last minute, and it's very early days. You can't suddenly turn around after 12, 13 games and say, "Oh, Carlo Ancelotti's fixed that." But it is marginally better. The game management is one of the bigger reasons why we can't win away from home. But this was an away win, albeit under strange circumstances. But that is his biggest challenge, I think, is not even getting... He's got good players. I don't think it's as big a job to improve the quality of Everton as it is to improve the game management.
It's the mental side of things with Everton, and I think, like I was saying, that issue with game management goes back to Roberto Martinez, maybe even to David Moyes, because he was a bit too negative, I think, maybe trying to see games up. But Martinez, I remember the amount of times we were a goal up and we threw it away, had to settle for a draw. I mean, the Chelsea game, the 3-3, the Bournemouth 3-3. I'm pretty traumatised by his final season and the amount of wins we threw away by not managing the game properly. It was infuriating. And I don't think I'll ever get over the sort of PTSD that I've got off Martinez's final season. So yeah, every time I see a player run towards the corner flag in the last minute, and I'm saying, get it in the blooming corner flag, because, you know, I just can't handle another Chelsea or another Bournemouth or, dare I say, another Newcastle from this season. You know, just be professional about it and get the job done and stop making us fans, like, panic. There's just no need for it.
Yeah.
But there you go. We'll leave it at that. We'll finish on a more positive note, shall we? I mean, like Owen said, it's 4 points out of 6. I don't think I was coming back into this resumed season with a lot of trepidation. I think, Teddy, you guys were both on the show when I was saying I was worried about the players' motivation and how we perform without fans, and I was concerned about our prospects. And to get 4 out of 6 it's a good start. It's especially considering we played the top team, got a point, and then obviously it wasn't the best performance against the bottom team, but we get the win, and that's not bad at all. We can definitely kick on from here. We've got a bigger break than Leicester City have before we play them, so hopefully that might give us a bit of a boost going into that. But it's not going to be an easy game anyway, Leicester, but we're going to have to step it up from what we saw yesterday. But I think we're going to be all right this for the rest of the season. I don't think we're not going to win every game, obviously, but it's going to be better than I thought anyway. At least I'm calming down a little bit after seeing us finally get a win. I think that's the.
You look like we can keep a clean sheet. So
yeah, that's a massive thing, and I think Carlo Ancelotti will have been working very hard on that, wouldn't he? During the mini pre-season, whatever it was, when they were trying to resume this. I think our defence has been so much better since we came back, considering the last game we played before it was a 4-0 defeat. So I think it's a step in the right direction, and hopefully we can keep kicking on. We've got Leicester next, and we will need to see an improvement, but let's just enjoy the win, shall we? I mean, we've waited 4 months for one, so yeah, let's enjoy that. There you have it, guys. That's the end of the extra time segment for Norwich 0, Everton 1. Let us know your opinions on the game. Let us know how you thought certain players played, individual performances. Maybe give us a few ratings, whatever you want. Let us know what you think of the rest of the season, where we can go from here as well. Drop us a comment, give us a like, and give us a subscribe as well. And thank you for watching on the Toffee Blues. No, no,